DOGE, or Department of Government Efficiency. It's this made-up thing that was been commissioned by President Trump to seemingly clean up the government. Listen, I can get behind looking for fraud, waste, and abuse inside of our federal government. Over 2 million federal employees. We spend $6 trillion a year for our budget. And I was reading recently that over $250 billion at one point were done in overpayments. That's like stuff like overpaying people for food stamps, or overpaying a vet for his disability, or overpaying somebody for their Social Security, or maybe overpaying a contract. We should find those things and decide if we want to recoup that payment. Maybe you don't take the money back from a vet, and maybe you don't take the money back from the food stamp people. I don't know. That's something we should figure out. And so the Department of Government Efficiency, I guess they sought out to maybe do that stuff. I'm saying guess because I don't really know what they're doing. And that's the thing that makes me a little bit concerned when it comes to shit hits the fan. Let me take a sip. Unelected bureaucrats tasked with rooting out fraud, waste, and abuse commissioned by the president. On the surface, like I said earlier, that sounds fantastic. There is no transparency on how their work will be conducted. That's a concern of mine. There is no transparency on who's a part of the team. There's no transparency on their current clearances. There's no transparency on what data they're able to access. That's where my concern lies. I don't particularly want to dive into the politics of who allowed them to do it and should they be doing it. To be honest with you, I'm kind of okay with finding fraud, waste, and abuse. Maybe not exactly how they're doing it, and that might be some things that I have an issue with. But we don't know about their vetting, and we don't know what the information that they're gathering. And so it's been reported that they had, maybe still have access to the Treasury Department's payment system, where they possibly could have the information of millions of Americans' personally identifiable information. Some of them already deceased, maybe some of them still alive. I don't know. That makes me feel a little bit weird when it comes to prep and just everything that I physically have done to my house, physically have done to my life. My online data could just be gone with the insertion of a thumbstick by a 19-year-old in the wrong computer. Now, here's the thing. I want to repeat. I'm on board with finding fraud, waste, and abuse. I do think I will prefer this be done through a law, through legislation, through transparency. Like, for the most part, we know how Office of Inspector Generals work within the government. For a good chunk, we know how audits work within the government. They're laid off of some type of manual. They have some type of parameters. They report to somebody. Lawmakers know exactly what they're funding. We know what we're looking at. But for me personally, the Department of DOGE, let's just say DOGE. DOGE is ran by Elon Musk. The dude obviously knows how to make some money. He knows how to run a business. Government's not a business, so that might be an issue. But I think he got his wealth with PayPal. He also has the Boring Company and Tesla and Starlink, and he sends rocket ships up and all sorts of crap, right? That does not mean that his team is an expert at safeguarding our personally identifiable information, or PII. That's why I'm glad I have a company behind me like Aura. This is not a sponsor video. They do sponsor my channel. Matter of fact, I'm just telling you who I actually use to protect myself, because as much as I know you prep your home for the possible home invasion, for someone coming to get the things that you prepared, we have to also protect our online ourselves. We have to take a look at, do we need to lock down our credit bureau? Do we need to lock down our Social Security numbers? Do we need to see if anybody has already accessed our stuff on the dark web? And because the DOGE is just kind of working as they see fit, when and if would we ever know there was a leak, or there was a breach, or somebody mishandled some information? For instance, in 2015, the Chinese hacked the Office of Personnel Management. Over, I think it was 20 million Americans, whether present or past government employees, some military personnel, all their data, I'm talking birthdays, Social Security numbers, all that crap, stolen by the Chinese. I was one of them because I was in the Marine Corps. And so I had my information. I was notified by the government that my data was stolen, and they paid for protection for me. Like, they gave me an online protection similar to Aura for a decade. That ran out in 2025, but I still got my own kind of personal protection with Aura. well over a year ago. The point being is I need to be alerted if there's something going on with my information, and them having that type of information, them have that type of access is something that I think that we need to concern ourselves with. I don't know what the team is made of. I'm all for young men and women. I think his team is entirely men, but I'm all for young men having good jobs, having good opportunities. And it sounds like that his team is made of young men who maybe have some of the biggest and most responsible job, the most responsibility within a job that they've ever had in their lives. I think that that is incredible. I think that's a great opportunity. They could learn a lot, but it also think that it just takes one time for you to plug up into the wrong server. You're on a low class server instead of a high class server. High classes, or high side rather, is high side is what we call classified. Low side is what we call unclassified. I think most of the things they're doing is on the low side, and they're sending stuff via email, and they're just, I'm concerned. You know, reportedly the same DOGE team just simply plugged up their own either computers or emails or servers into the Office of Personnel Management's servers, and they sent the email to all 2 million federal employees. Also, they sent it to all federal judges who can't be fired. So that was a weird thing to do as well. So those small, simple mistakes like that, sending emails to judges who can't be fired, you know, and sending emails to people who you don't want to take the buyout, such as air traffic controllers and people within the Custom and Border Patrol. And I think those type of small things just show me the ability to make mistakes. And it takes one large mistake for my data to just be gone. That also includes the data of my 5 kids. That also includes the wife. I also think about my ex-wife. I think about that stuff as well. And so for me, that's why I have everyone locked down with OR. Everyone's social security number's in there. Everyone first and last name is in there. If someone breaches that information, I have it. I will link down below. You know, if you want to try them out, I'll link it down below. It's a two-week trial that you can go take for a spin and see what you think about it. No pressure on you. It's just something I really enjoy. And for me personally, I want to know, what do you think about the Department of Government Efficiency? Worst case scenario, threat level I think about is the increase for a cyber attack. Every time I do these videos, I tell you which threat level do I think is heightened. The one I'm going to talk about is an increase for a cyber attack. The Chinese, they know what the hell they're doing. We have allies that know what the hell we're doing. Okay, I know the Koreans are our buddies, all right? The South Koreans, not the North. The North Koreans know how to hack just as good as the goddamn Chinese, okay? They get our data. They get that stuff on the dark web, whether it's the Russians or Chinese or anybody else. We are not, you know, rubbing shoulders with, rubbing elbows with. That can be a concern. So I pray that they do a good job in rooting out fraud, waste, and abuse. I do. But I also hope that they have controls in place to keep our data safe, but I don't trust that they do. That's why I protect myself and I prep. So if this is your first time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the channel. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. It's time for me to finish the rest of this cigar and make sure that all my data actually is locked down properly. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.